The desert didn't forgive mistakes. Elias Crow knew that better than anyone. His ranch sat alone on the edge of Arizona territory, where the land cracked under the sun and silence could kill faster than a bullet. By dusk, even the wind stopped moving. That was when he saw her. She stood near his dry fence line, taller than any woman he'd ever seen, broad-shouldered, wrapped in worn Apache buckskin. Her shadow stretched unnaturally long across the sand. Elias's hand went to his rifle by instinct. Most men would have fired. Instead, she spoke. Water. Her voice was rough, strained, like it had crossed miles of heat and pain. Up close, Elias saw the truth. Her lips were split, her skin burned by the sun. She was dying of thirst. Apache, alone, unarmed. Every warning he'd ever heard screamed in his head. Trap, ambush, death. But something else stopped him, her eyes. They didn't beg. They didn't threaten. They waited. Without a word, Elias lowered his rifle, turned, and filled a tin cup from his last barrel of clean water. He walked back slowly and held it out. She drank carefully as if honoring the gift. When she finished, she placed her hand over her heart and spoke again. You showed mercy. My people will remember. Before Elias could respond, she turned and vanished into the desert like smoke. That night he didn't sleep. At dawn the ground began to tremble. Elias stepped onto his porch and froze. 300 Apache warriors stood in a wide circle around his ranch. Painted faces, drawn bows, horses snorting in the morning light, spears catching the sun like fire. At their front stood the woman. Now he understood. She was not just a traveler. She was a chieftain's daughter, a warrior of legend among her people, known for surviving battles that killed grown men. She raised her hand, and the warriors held their weapons still. She pointed at Elias. This man, she said, had power over my life. He chose kindness. Silence fell heavy as stone. Then the chief stepped forward. Many settlers take from us, the chief said. Few give. Fewer still show mercy when fear would be easier. He lifted a carved Apache token and placed it at Elias's feet. From this day, the chief continued, this land is protected. No Apache blade will ever cross this ranch. The warriors turned as one and rode away, leaving only dust and a man whose life had been spared not by a gun, but by a cup of water. In the Wild West, legends weren't born from violence. Sometimes they were born from mercy. The warriors were gone, but the desert was not quiet. For weeks after that morning, Elias Crow felt eyes on his land. Not hostile, watchful. At night, he sometimes saw fires burning on distant ridges, gone by sunrise. His cattle were never stolen. His water never poisoned. Word spread fast in the territory. Bandits came anyway. 3 of them rode in one evening, hard men with dust-caked coats and hungry eyes. They laughed when Elias warned them to leave. Apache protection? One sneered. That's a bedtime story, old man. The first shot rang out. Elias never fired back. The desert answered for him. From the hills came the thunder of hooves. Arrows fell like rain. The bandits didn't even have time to scream. When the dust settled, only their horses remained, untied, trembling. At sunrise, the giant Apache woman stood at the edge of the ranch once more. You were tested, she said. You passed. She handed Elias a bundle wrapped in red cloth. Inside is earth from our sacred ground, she continued. As long as it rests on your land, no enemy will claim this place. Years passed. Towns rose. Rails cut the desert. Guns grew louder, but Crow Ranch stood untouched. Travelers spoke of it in whispers, a place where violence died before it was born. When Elias finally passed, they found him seated on his porch facing the sunrise, the Apache token still in his hand. And beside his grave, someone had placed a single gift, a tin cup filled with water.